We see you have a flair for marketing. We see you have a flair for connection and insights. So you must take marketing. So that's why I ended up in marketing. Again, I didn't know that I was good at it. It was my classmates and my professors who told me that, Shiv, you're good at this. And that's how I ended up doing marketing. So once you do marketing, then you say, this is a very important question for all of you. Whatever you specialize in, if you want to be the best at that, go and work in the best companies in that area. So automatically, I went to Hindustan Lever, which was one of the best marketing companies of that decade and that era. Okay. Then you start working. When you start working, and many of you will do that, whatever you do, do your best. Whatever you do your best for the company. In doing your best for the company is your success. If the company does well, you will do well. Today is a day and age when a lot of people self-promote themselves and put themselves ahead of the company. A few of them will succeed, most of them will fail. Your success will come when your company succeeds. Remember that. Okay, so do your best in whatever you are assigned, whatever job. I've done all kinds of roles, from sales manager to this, to that, etc. When I was sales manager, I would travel 23 days a month in Andhra Pradesh, 23 days a month. I would go, come back after 14 days, go again, come back after 9 days. To me, it was special that my team and my distributors, really felt that I was there with them, shoulder to shoulder, pushing sales and doing all the right things. So whatever job you are assigned, don't worry about the next job, don't worry about the previous job. Try and beat the living daylights out of the job that you are given. Don't go by the job description. A job description exists because somebody needs to fill a job. You have to go well beyond the job. The job description should not limit you. Okay? That's what I would say. Then, again, I didn't know this. I was just happy just being a marketing guy. I would have been happy just being marketing director of Hindustan Lever. And one day in 2003, I woke up and read the Hindu Business Line. The Hindu Business Line had interviewed a number of people in Bombay, marketing and advertising professionals, and asked them, who do you think are the next bunch of CEOs in this country? This was 20 years ago. And lo and behold, my name was top of the list. And I said, wow, I always thought of myself as a marketing guy, and today industry people think I can be a CEO. That's the first time it struck in my head that I could be a CEO. Okay? So again, other people see something in you. You don't set out to say, I want to be a CEO. Okay? I was quite happy being marketing director, trust me. So then Nokia happened. Nokia was one of the finest companies that I worked for. We are the highest of highs. When I joined Nokia, it was a very small company. We became India's largest multinational at $4 billion in 2009-10. Nothing Nokia did was wrong. Everything we touched turned to gold, and we had huge share. We became India's most trusted brand. No technology brand had ever made it to the top 10 in the India list. We went straight, from 71, 4 years before, into 1, straight off, and we held it for 4 years there. And that was an absolute revelation for India. Because in India, only FMCG brands had been in the top 10. And suddenly comes Nokia from out of nowhere, and we went right to the top. And Nokia has a very special place in my heart and my career, because I think, while Hindustan Lever taught me a lot, they invested a hell of a lot in me and made me who I was. It was Nokia which gave me the prominence and my name and stature as one of the CEOs. After that, Nokia collapsed. Nokia collapsed because we took the wrong decision. The CEO and the board decided to go with Windows operating system rather than Android. We had 32 share of the global market, and in devices, we chose an operating system which was 4 share. And it was a marriage made in hell. There was no chance of success. When I left Nokia, it was a very emotional moment for me. I'd spent a decade there. And a lot of my friends in the headhunters told me, you should have left a year ago, Shiv. I said, why didn't you tell me this? They said, you're too deeply emotionally involved with Nokia. And so that's the other lesson for you. As you go through your career, wherever you are, you will be emotionally invested in a company or in a job or whatever it is. But don't be so invested that you can't step back and say, hey, am I doing the right thing? Maybe I should have left a year ago. I was the last of the top 25 managers to leave Nokia, but okay. It happens, it happens. But again, I put it back behind me and then joined PepsiCo. PepsiCo was a fun ride because we had to make the company profitable. It had not been profitable for 25 years of its existence. We had to make it profitable, which we did. Okay, reshaped the brands, reshaped execution, reshaped superior products, every single thing. Then I went and worked. I was on the board of IIM Ahmedabad, and Mr. Birla was the chair of the board. He said, Shiv, what do you plan to do next? I said, look, I can think of various options. He said, why don't you come across and we'll find a role for you and see what we can do. I ended up in Aditya Birla Group. I ran strategy for 5 years. I ran the global textile business for 4 years. I ran the premium cement business for 2.5 years. I ran the consumer economics cell for 6 months. So I did 4 roles in those 5 years. I learned a hell of a lot. Right through, if there's one thing which I'll stress, learn. Your degree, whatever you have, is the foundation of this building. What you learn is the next skill and the next skill and the next skill. Build a skyscraper of skills. That's what will take you forward in a future world. So after that, I said, what do I need to do? And private equity came along. And private equity said, hey, Shiv, you've done this portfolio management in your last company. This is exactly what we do. Allocate resources, bet on companies, and shape them to grow. And that's where I am this year. I started with them early this year, and that's my journey. So first, others see in you what you don't see in yourself. First lesson. Second, you will lose something in life at some stage. Maybe you lose a lot, maybe you lose a little, but not all is lost when you lose something. And remember my blue suitcase story, okay? Whatever job is given to you, do your best. Do not be confined by the role or the job description, okay? Next, deserve before you desire. Everybody wants a promotion. Everybody wants a car. Everybody wants a foreign trip, whatever it is. But you must deserve it before you desire it, okay? Today we have a lot more desire and much less deserve, okay? That's what I would tell you. Stay multi-skilled, okay? Very crucial in order to succeed. In an age of AI, and everybody's talking about it, the World Economic Forum said that there are 3 skills which are absolutely crucial for success in a future world. 1 is creativity. 2 is complex problem solving. 3 is critical thinking. To that, I would add 2 soft skills, which I've seen through my career are absolutely crucial. 1 is communication, and 2 is collaboration. You cannot do anything on your own. You cannot do anything on your own, even if you're the best at something. You'll need somebody. The best tennis players need a coach, need a support system. The best golf players need that. The best cricket team needs that. So collaborate with as many people as you can. Give more than you take. And trust me, you'll have a great career. So that's all I have to say. I've taken about 20 minutes. More than happy to engage with all of you and these bright young minds here in terms of any questions that they might have for me. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience and lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Shiv. We will start from my left. We'll first take 8 questions from the student panel on stage, and then we'll move to the audience. So over to you. Would you like to go first? Yeah. Do introduce yourself and then place your question. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'm Aditya Ghosh from Future Institute of Engineering and Management. Sir, my question to you is, you have been associated with many brands. Sir, any special experiences or stories you would like to share with us, sir?
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. There are many stories I can tell you, just not 1 or 2. The key thing I would always say is, do what's right by the brand. And the brand exists in the minds of consumers. It doesn't exist in your presentation. It doesn't exist in your company. It exists in the minds of the consumers. I remember when we had the BL5C situation for Nokia. BL5C happened in 2007, August 14, 2007. And Nokia put out a product advisory saying a few batteries had bulged in a total battery run of 34 million batteries. Okay? Insignificant. But they said, look, we are putting out a product advisory and we believe the world should know it, the consumer should know it. We said, look, you might not want to say that in India because there'll be repercussions. They said, no, Nokia is Nokia. We want to be honest. We'll do it. We said, fine, and let's be prepared for the worst. I was on a flight from Singapore to Delhi, and then I was connecting from Delhi to Helsinki after 3 hours after that. So I spoke to my comms director, Poonam Kaul, and said, hey, what do you think will happen? She said, I don't think the media will be nice, Shiv, but let's see. When I landed, I called her, and she was in utter panic. And she said, Shiv, everything's off now. I said, where are you calling from? She said, I'm calling from the office. I said, it's 11:30. She said, yeah, the whole management team is sitting here. Because media had gone to town and said, Nokia's, safety is bad, this, that, etc. She said, you better come to office right now. So from the airport, I drove down to the office, and we met till about 3:30 and said, 12 things we should do in order to contain this problem. We did 10 of them in the first 48 hours, okay? The last 2 later. And we went on stage and we said, all batteries are safe, this is fine, this is the situation, you can revert, you can come and replace it, etc. We didn't know it at that point of time. It took a month by the time it died down, okay? And people were claiming all kinds of things, etc. But the way we handled it made Nokia the #1 brand next year. So my point to you is, there is adversity, okay? But as long as you tell the truth to the consumer, and you deal with the consumer in an honest manner, which Nokia did, and the whole team did, that's why we got rewarded. That's my lesson.
Hello, sir. I'm Shodhit Banerjee from Heritage Business School. Sir, my question is, as I'm a young entrepreneur starting my business, and as a student as well, every day we face some high and lows. So my question is to you, how one tip for students and entrepreneurs like us, how to tackle these lows?
Good. So the thing is, both highs and lows are part of life. Okay, you can wake up in the morning feeling high, you go to office, things don't go well, by lunchtime you could be low. I think the first thing I would say to all of you as young people is keep balance. Okay, life is full of highs, life is full of lows. But what's important is not to get arrogant when you are high, and not to get despondent when you're low. Okay? When you're low, you need the emotional anchors around you, people who support you. They typically are your spouse, your family, your close friends, your teachers in college, whoever it is. Okay? Surround yourself with a few people who are your emotional anchors, and they will see you through this tough phase. And whatever low you go through, a good question to ask is, did I do my very best? That's the question I've asked every time my brand has failed, or a pack has failed, or an advertising has failed, or something has failed. I would always ask, did I do my very best? If the answer is, I've done my best, then you can sleep in peace. Okay? But surround yourself with people who believe in you, who are your emotional anchors. That's absolutely crucial for you to come out of your low.
Good morning, sir. I am Shravana Nashkar from Future Institute of Engineering and Management, and my question to you is, sir, in today's competitive market, what do you think that makes a brand stand apart from others?
There are a number of things. First is, a brand is a promise. And I think Samuel Johnson said this many years ago. Promise, large promise is the soul of all advertising. Whatever a brand says, it must do, and it must go beyond that. A brand must stay relevant. It must stay relevant to today's times. For example, if Levi's were to sell to you people today, then they have to sell a lot of these packed jeans and tone jeans, etc. They cannot stay with their 5-rivet jeans, which was their big success in the 1960s or 1970s. So you need to stay relevant to today. Your content and communication must be relevant to today. Okay, so there's a promise which a brand has. You must always meet it and exceed it. And the brand must always stay contemporary and stay relevant. The day that brand doesn't stay contemporary and relevant, it relegates in your mind. Then you suddenly say, I have gone past that brand. Okay? And brands have to always be aspirational. It doesn't matter at what price point they come, but brands must be aspirational. Those are the simple things which make brands.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, sir. My name is Orko Mahato. I'm from Heritage Business School. So, sir, our country has recently launched Chandrayaan-3 and it's a great successful for our country. So, sir, my question is, in this global scenario of rapid changing technology, where do you see India positioned in the current future? And this technology is going to be a boon or curse for the rural part of our India?
Okay. So here's the thing for you. India has always been a physically challenged country. But India is a digitally rich country. Remember this. If you take payments as an area, okay, payments as an area, the world indexes 67 on digital payments. India indexes 87. Okay. The RBI governor said the other day that we want to get to voice prompted payments. That's a fantastic innovation. Nobody in the world has even thought about it. All our innovation in the past was import substitution and cost-led. Today our innovation is much more market-facing, technology-led, and it's disaggregating. Most of innovation in the West is aggregated innovation. Ours is disaggregated. For example, today you buy on Amazon. Amazon decides for you who the delivery agent is, where the payment mechanism is, etc. With ONDC, you can choose who the delivery agent is. It's disaggregated. You can choose which bank you pay with, or what BNPL you use, etc. So disaggregation has actually helped consumers, and it has helped keep prices down in this country. So I personally believe that your generation and whatever is happening, we've had multiple skill missions in this country, etc. I think there's a huge tailwind which is happening thanks to digital in India. And I think it's a matter of time before we go up the value chain. While some people might say, okay, Shiv, digital payments, etc., you had inefficiency in the past and that's why you're doing it. I give you another good example, EV, scooter EVs. India is leading in scooter EVs. That's a product in innovation which we are leading in, which is good. So we have to lead in services. We also need to lead in products. I think both are happening right now. I personally think India is on a very good cusp, and I think it will only get better.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. So my question is, everyone has their own role model in their life. So who has been your role model and why?
Okay, good question. So who is your role model and why? You know, as you go through life, when you are a kid, your parents are your role models. Okay, willy-nilly. Kids might not even know the word role model, but somehow they tend to ape their parents, their dad, their mom, etc., and the way you speak and the way you conduct yourself, etc. So when you're a kid, your parents are your role model. When you become a teenager, like some of you might be teenagers in this room, which is between the age of 13 to 19, when you become a teenager, the richest uncle, aunt, or relative is the role model. Because suddenly we see the world through material eyes. We want that car, we want that watch, we want that fashion accessory, whatever it is. So they become your role models. Okay. In school, and actually junior school, teachers are big role models. For example, I have a friend, Bhavya, whose daughter, Malhar, wonderful girl, she's 5 years old. When she goes to kindergarten, every day, believe it or not, she goes and hugs all her teachers, every day. To her, teachers are a huge thing in her life. So right at a very young age, teachers are huge role models. Then when you get into college, and whether you're in boarding or otherwise, your seniors become your role models. Because you see these guys, they're the secretary, football captain, cricket captain, hockey captain. You say, okay, I want to be somebody like that. Okay, then they become your role models. When you start working, your bosses and your seniors become your role model. Okay? And there'll be some people who you read about, who you never meet in your life, who could be role models. For many people, Gandhi is a huge role model. Okay? Nobody will ever meet him. But reading about the person makes him a role model for you. Or Jack Welch to a number of people. Okay? Or Robert McNamara, etc. So for me, it has been my teachers, definitely. My early bosses in my career. Robert McNamara, the World Bank president and Ford CEO. Jack Welch, Obama, okay, Mandela. Okay. There's something about them and what they say and what they do which resonates with me. And that's what they wrote.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Ovinandan Chakraborty from JIS University, and my question to you is that, so you have studied from IIM Calcutta, which happens to be the venue for today's program. So, sir, what are the memories that comes to your mind when you revisit the campus here today?
In fact, as I entered the campus, right to the left is a building, and there used to be a restaurant run by Mihir. Mihir used to also run our hostel. I think he's still there. I'll go say hi to him on the way back. So that was my first recollection. Then the car took a left turn and came across the hostels. So I looked up. H1208 is where I used to stay. I could see my room right up there. It's the first room as you enter this road. And then I saw the tennis court. Tennis court is swank and nice. It was not this good when I played there. I saw the basketball court also, very swanky. There we used to play cricket. Okay, now that's not there. This place where this auditorium is used to be the cricket ground. That used to be the practice pitch. And now we have this here. So that's what I remembered. Then when I came in here, I thought of the many times I've been in this room. And the memory, as I told you, was 2011 when I came to receive the Most Distinguished Alumnus Award. And Professor Sudas Roy, who taught me, was reading the citation. And he said something very nice, and that I was remembering that when I walked up. He said, I don't think Shiv knew how far he would go, but we knew how far he would go. Okay, so that is there in the citation. That was very special. So those are the memories which was there as I entered there. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. I am Orgo Chaudhary from JIS University. Sir, thank you for the enriching session. And sir, I want to get some advice from you that the students who are studying in various B schools across the country, which are not as good as IIM, what will be your advice for them?
Great question. Thank you. So let me step back and give you a bunch of stats on this. There are 13,000 business schools in the world, 13,000, offering an MBA degree. Of the 13,000 in the world, 4,000 are in India. India has the highest number of business schools in the world, highest. We produce 4 lakh MBAs every year. Okay. Only in the top 25 schools in India is the starting salary higher than the fees paid. Only in the top 25 schools. Here's the point to you. A degree from anywhere, any institution, be it IIT, be it IIM, be it Wharton, wherever it is, can at best open the first door to the first job and maybe a window to the second job. That's it. What matters is the results you produce, how well you work with people, and the contribution you make. That's what matters. So in my book, when I ran companies, it didn't matter to me where the person studied, as long as he produced results and he showed potential. So it doesn't matter whether you've not studied in IIT or IIM. Do your very best. You get a job, beat the living daylights out of the job. That's the first step. Okay, that's what will take you far. Okay, to give you a simple stat, if you nowadays the batches at business schools are 400, 500. I think the current batch here is 500. Till when the batch size was about 200, 250, less than 5% of an MBA batch made it to CEO. 95% of an MBA batch wants to be a CEO, but only 5% made it. So that tells you that only people who have the long haul, you have to run the marathon of a career. A career is not a sprint. You cannot just run 100 meters in 15 seconds and say, I've done it. No. It is the long yards, it is the 42 kilometers, it is the 30 years. You have to have the energy, you have to have the stamina, you have to have the relevance and the learning to stay that course. That's what's important. Don't worry, where you come from was not in your hands. Okay? Was not in your destiny. But where you finish is in your destiny. And that's what you should focus on.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Vidipta Datta Roy, and I'm from Institute of Engineering and Management. So my question today is that you have headed organizations where brand promotions have been done by a lot of celebrities, and I'm sure you must have interacted with several of these celebrities. Any memorable interaction or any light moment which you would like to share with us?
Okay, there are lots. So I worked with Shah Rukh for about 20 odd years. He's a friend. If Shah Rukh was not an actor, he would be a CEO. He is a very sharp, brilliant guy. And absolutely hats off to him. I'll tell you a story on Shah Rukh. So my association with Shah Rukh started in 2001 when I was in Hindustan Lever, and we signed him up for Clinic All Clear. Okay, we signed him up for Clinic All Clear, and he was the brand ambassador because he had fantastic hair. You know, he's got a lovely mop of hair. So we signed him up, and we ran a campaign, etc. Next year, another actor came into force, and he was the raging success. And Shah Rukh was actually outplaced by that actor on popularity index, both amongst girls and boys. So Shah Rukh called the agency and said, are you guys going to renew the contract? And the agency called me. I said, look, I don't think, because Shah Rukh's stars are not looking good, you know, at this point of time, and I'm not so sure we should do that. So they conveyed that to Shah Rukh, and Shah Rukh said, fair enough. He said, Shiv, it seems you have some data, why don't you come and see me? So me and the agency, we went and met him. I met him in his, vanity van. He was shooting for Devdas, I still remember that. Okay, he was wearing that white. So he said, Shiv, I hear you don't want to renew the contract. I said, yeah. He said, why? I said, Shah Rukh, I have some data, this is what it is, etc. He said, he looked at it and said, I agree, close. He said, but I'm having some great movies coming up, Shiv. Okay, I want to do this. I hear you have a dancing script. I can dance bloody well. I want to do this. I want to do this. And he said, okay, between us, this is the deal I'm putting at the table. It was a very compelling deal. On the spot, I said, yes, Shah Rukh, we'll do it. And then we did it, the Dodala campaign, hugely successful. He landed in Delhi and he saw himself on all the posters, everything. He called the agency and said, fantastic, I really like this campaign. Okay, then his fortune turned. Next year was on top again. Time for renewal. So he called the agency and said, does Shiv want to renew? So I said, what price? And his price had doubled. Okay. So I said, Shah Rukh, let's be friends. Let's stop it. Very bright guy. He knew when the brand needed him. He knew when he needed the brand. Okay, brilliant. Same thing when we did IPL with him. I said, let's do year-by-year contract, Shah Rukh, because 3 years nobody knows. And he said, absolutely right. He said in 2008, Shiv, nobody knows whether IPL will be a huge success. Let's go 1 year at a time. I'm on. Okay, so great guy, a fantastic mind, possibly one of the finest minds that I have met in the entertainment industry. Wonderful human being.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Am I audible? Yeah, I think I am now. So before I move to the audience, I must compliment the students panel here, Shiv.
Great question.
Fantastic set of questions. You need to applaud for yourselves. Okay, so that is 12:10. We will take about 6 minutes of questions, and I'll give myself 3 to 4 minutes to wrap up the session. We'll start from my left here. Last row, second gentleman from the right, please. I will try and allow 6 questions each group. We have a couple of extra microphones here. I'd request one person be stationed near this group and one there so that we don't lose time again.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Shardul Pandey, and I'm from Army Institute of Management, Kolkata. Having worked across multiple industries, sir, I believe you have an expert opinion on adaptability. I was wondering how you train adaptability. And how, if you have had any issues or problems relating to it, any stories perhaps?
Yeah,
Thanks, sir.
so that's a great question. So here's the thing. When you go from a different industry to a new industry, nobody thinks you know that industry. And everybody will try to teach you, etc. So for example, when I had to sell coffee in Hindustan Lever, I had not sold coffee before. I had sold tea. I did a very simple thing. I called all the coffee big guns of the South, the Narsus, the Leo Coffee, etc., and called them and said, you know, my name is Shiv Kumar, I work for Unilever, I know nothing about coffee, but I'm willing to learn. Okay? You'll be surprised, all of them invited me to their office. Mr. Narsu, old man Narsu, actually invited me to his factory, and I met his family and had dinner with him, etc. They taught me everything I had to know about coffee, believe it or not. So I learned from my competition about coffee compared to learning about it from textbooks. Next, when I joined Nokia. When I joined Nokia, the buzz in Nokia was, this guy has sold soap, detergent, tea, coffee, shampoos. What will he teach us? Sanitary napkins, baby products, that's what he sold. What can he teach us? We are box sellers. We know how to say. I spoke to 200 people before I joined Nokia. 200 people who had worked in Nokia, distributors of Nokia, and the mobile phone industry. I spoke to 200 people. I still have my notes. I made copious notes and went in there. So whatever new you take, I think it's extremely important that you go prepared. Because if you don't go prepared, then you'll take a lot of time listening to people and trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. But if you do your homework well, then your adaptability becomes much easier. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, a microphone for the gentleman here.
Hello, my name is Akasa Ghosh and I am from AIIMS Kolkata. Sir, thank you for having here, sir. And sir, my question, sir, is from your perspective. You are in the industry in so much years, sir. You are nourishing and cultivating the management and the leadership in this industry, sir. In your perspective, what are the unexplored sectors or areas in management that hold a lot of potential to grow?
A great question. Thank you for asking that. I think this whole issue of digital, how consumers behave in a digital world, how brands are seen in a digital world, how influencers work, how trust is built, this is all new territory, this is unexplored territory. It will take a lot of time before we put many data points and come to a concept which says this works here. And I'm sure all of you recognize it. I'm sure all of you are on social media. When you post something, you believe this post will do well and it doesn't do well. You're surprised. Then you post something and you think it won't do well and it flies off the handle. It does very well. So the science of it is something that I think we'll understand over the next few years.
Thank you, sir.
You get a benefit because they haven't put up a hand in that section. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Jivanshu Sharma. And I've been your LinkedIn follower since few times, so love your content there. So as a professional, it's very important for us to understand and build connections like networking, right? So you have been and worked with so many brands and you have so well connection, right? So what is your advice for young professionals like us to build new connections and new networks? Which helps us in our professional life and overall.
Great question. Thank you for asking that. My generation was the product of our companies and brands we worked for, or the institutes we studied in. Your generation is going to be a product of what you do. Personal branding has become exceedingly important today, and social media allows you to build your own personal brand. And I think that's fantastic. But here are the caveats to what I've just said. Be true to yourself. What are you good at? Please post about that. You don't need to post about everything under the sun. Please don't do that. There are some taboo topics which you should not touch if you're a professional. And those 3 taboo topics are sex, religion, and politics. Do not comment on them because they will always divide your base and they will always invite the wrong comment. It's not worth it. It doesn't mean you don't have an opinion on it. You'll have an opinion on it. But it's not worth expressing that opinion publicly, and inviting a bunch of diatribe against you. Save yourself that. Okay? And the way to build your brand is to be authentic. Stay true to yourself. You don't need to tag everybody. You don't need to follow everybody. You don't need to respond to every single comment which is made. You don't need to like every single thing which is tagged for you. Don't do that. I think you have to be authentic to who you are and do it. Today there are many, many individuals whose following on social media is significantly higher than the following for the company on the same medium. Okay, so today you truly are individuals, your brands. In the past, the power built the brand. I had the role as a managing director, and my brand was built on being the managing director. Today, I have the power to build a personal brand called Shivakumar. That's the big difference, and you must invest in it. Do not let anybody tell you that it's a waste of time. Do not listen to that. Nobody can save you except your reputation, and that is in your hands. And you must play to that.
Thank you, sir.
Right, I don't see any hands going up in the balcony area. We'll allow 2 more questions. Yeah, third row here.
Good morning, panel. I am from ISWBM. My name is Protyay Das. And I want to ask you that being the top leader in a corporate world, what are your views that differentiate between a satisfactory manager, a good manager, and a best manager?
Good question. So let me answer this looking at the structure of the organization, and then you can make out for yourself what needs to be done. When you're a junior manager, your job is to execute. That's it. Nothing else. There's a job given to you, execute it exceedingly well. 200 marks on 100 marks. When you're a middle manager, your job is to train the junior managers and to run the process for the organization. That's the role of a middle manager. When you're a senior manager, your role is to manage the complexities which arise out of the business. For example, the supply chain wants lean inventory, the sales guys want higher inventory. Finance wants a price increase, marketing doesn't want a price increase. So those are the complexities and the challenges which arise, which is what a senior manager needs to do. And the role of a leader is to move people from mindset A to mindset B, apart from being good at all the other 3 that he or she is doing. And right through this journey, you have to be very good at execution, you have to be good at process, you have to be good at managing the trade-off, and you have to be good at influencing the mindset. That is what truly differentiates very effective and inspirational leaders from everybody else.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think we are overshooting by 2 or 3 minutes, but given the quality of the questions that have been coming and the most involved and high energy response from Shiv, you to all of them, I can't allow 3 questions. I'll allow 1, and I'll take the lady.
Hello, am I audible? A very good afternoon to sir and all the dignitaries and all the ladies and gentlemen. I am Anisha Chatterjee from Human Resource Management of ISWBM. So I have a question. As we have already heard and learned about virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, as you have mentioned that you have been a voracious reader, a writer, and have been an editor, the young generations are having a very low patient quotient, and people are trying to be little over, trying to have some smart way to do works. So how you think that artificial intelligence is shaping the young minds? Is it indeed, I think, helping the generations, but it is also doing most of the works. ChatGPT is making plots of the stories, and they are creating all the content. So what are your perceptions regarding that?
Yeah. So all technology is both good and bad. For example, let's take mobile phones. I think mobile phones has made people very impatient. Okay? Let's take you send a message to, let's take a friend. You're promptly looking, has the blue tick come? If the blue tick doesn't come, then you call up. Why haven't you seen my message? It makes you very impatient. Your language has changed dramatically. That's not the language which your English teacher taught you or what your parents would be proud of. Your language is all in 4-letter words with a comma, with a question mark, all kinds of things. Your expressions have changed. There's new slang out there, okay? And so on and so forth. But the benefits of connectivity, the benefits of technology are absolutely many. In the metaverse world and the AI world, one of the biggest things which will happen is, I think this whole audio-visual thing will go to a completely new level. I've been to Microsoft, I've played with those machines, the big ones, etc. I personally believe when the form factor of that machine becomes smaller, maybe to the size of spectacles, and the price point drops to 10,000 rupees, that's when it will take off. I think artificial intelligence, machine learning are all here to stay. Okay. You have to ride that wave. Your generation is absolutely brilliantly well placed to ride this wave. You are a very articulate generation. You are a very tech-led generation. And I think this will play right up your street. There will be, the pitfalls, but as long as you do not, fall into the pitfalls, don't blame the technology. For example, people say a number of road accidents happen because people are talking on the phone or, SMS. The problem is not the car. The problem is the person and his attention. So don't get seduced by the technology that you land yourself in a soup, because there are other laws which you need to follow when you're driving a car or you're in an aircraft or wherever it is. Okay? The other thing about technology which I would warn you is privacy. I am just amazed and shocked at the number of confidential discussions which happen in lifts, which happen in airports, which happen in aircraft. It's just amazing. Okay? So please be careful about the downsides of technology while reaping the benefits of it.
Thank you, Shiv. I'll take my summary from that last question. I had this picture of you walking in with your blue suitcase to talk to a DigiLocker and cloud generation. And you have bridged the connect amazingly well. Storytelling has its own stickiness, and I think all of us will carry back from here almost entire anecdotal hour soaking into your experience. I'll still make an attempt to leave behind for all of us 5 things which Shiv reiterated. I'll of course have to leave the stories out of it and hope that all of you will remember. Firstly, others know or see something in you. Be open about accepting that knowledge. Standing where you are, you may not see something in yourself. That spark may be visible to somebody else. Respect the spark. Put your losses behind you. Move on. Go to the best and give it your best. Wonderfully put by Shiv. Even later when he was responding to the question about what a junior manager should do. Do your task, do it better than the best, give it all you have. Stay emotionally invested, but not emotionally handcuffed. Beautiful. Learn to build a skyscraper of skills. Something like a tongue twister, but beautiful. Skyscraper of skills. Deserve before you desire. And finally, wrapping up, we had Mr. Dempo in the previous session also speak about critical thinking, complex problem solving, and creativity. And Shiv brought that very human dimension to it, collaboration and communication. Thank you once again to our panelists, to a fantastic audience and lovely questions. And thank you, Shiv. We will treasure this hour with you. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us. Now, may I request Ms. Madhumita Basu to present a memento to Mr. Shiv Shivakumar. I request Vibhor Tandon, Joint Treasurer, CMA, to present a memento to Ms. Madhumata Basu for chairing this session. Thank you.
Thank you. May I request the participants to please continue to be seated as we begin with the next session. There is no break in between. The panelists of the next session to please be ready as they are called on the stage. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Just a small announcement and a request. There are 3 cars that's stationed on the left-hand side of this auditorium. If there's anyone who is the owner of the car, I would request to please take the cars back to the parking spot which is on that side, this side. If there's anyone who has parked the car on this side, there are 3 cars I know, please park it on the proper parking place. Students, please don't go away. We'll start in a few minutes.
Thank you. We begin with the next session. May I please invite the panelists to please come on the stage before we invite the esteemed speaker and this session moderator. Thank you.
Please continue to be seated as we begin the 3rd session of the Shaping Young Minds program with Mr. Aditya Ghosh, business leader and co-founder Akasa Air as the speaker, and Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee, former president Calcutta Management Association and chief executive officer ABP Private Limited as the session chair. Before we request our dignitaries to be seated on the dais, I would request the student panelists to please be seated on their respective seats. Thank you. Now it's my proud privilege to invite on stage Mr. Aditya Ghosh and Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee. Before I hand over the proceedings to Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee, few words about him. Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee joined ABP in 1997 as the management trainee and currently is the CEO of the organization. Mr. Mukherjee is an MBA from IIS WBM. Is also an alumnus of the London School of Economics and Political Science and Harvard Business School, from where he completed the Senior Executive Leadership Program. Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee is a former president of Calcutta Management Association. With these few words, I now hand over the proceedings to Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee and request him to introduce the speaker, Mr. Aditya Ghosh, and take the program forward. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, yeah. Good afternoon now to all of you, and very, very warm welcome once again to this third session of the day, which I'm sure will be equally interesting as the first two sessions. And I just had an opportunity to listen to the last session and was catching the other one on YouTube while I was traveling. I think both the sessions have set the context for the day, and I think I'll take from what Mr. Shivakumar ended with by saying that, in case of your generation, it's all about riding the wave, and there are a lot of waves which are coming in our way. I think in this session, what we will explore is the story of an individual who has actually rode a lot of waves in his career and have always, hit the shore very successfully. And we will hear more from him, so I will not waste too much time and go straight into the session and quickly introduce him and then call him on stage. So you all know it's all about Aditya Ghosh, and he's a business leader and a co-founder of Akasa Air. He's currently a member of the board of directors at Fab India, Oyo Hotels and Homes, Green Cell Mobility, TWIT Foundation, and Ashoka University. Aditya Ghosh is also an independent director at RAK International Airport in UAE. He is the chairperson of the Social Enterprise Central Body of SEWA and is a member of the CII National Committee and co-chairman of the CII National Committee on Skill Development and Livelihood. He is one of the founders of Ashoka University and a member of the Circle of Sponsors, where he heads the Service Excellence Committee. Formerly, he was the president and whole-time director of Indigo for 10 years. I think that's one persona which stays with all of us and all of you here. For 10 years, where he was instrumental in turning the airline into the largest and most profitable airline in India. Also, one of the fastest growing low-cost careers in the world. I think in its way, Indigo is a case study and a pride of India. Prior to becoming a board member at Oyo, he was also the CEO of Oyo Hotels and Homes, South Asia. Aditya is a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader and has been recognized as Fortune 40 under 40 globally, as well as Fortune India 40 under 40 3 years in a row. Aditya is a key supporter of the startup world and has invested in consumer-facing businesses through his investment arm Homage Ventures, and some of his investments have been in ventures like Blue Tokai, Wholesome Foods, GenePath Diagnostics, Credit Enable, Speakin, VSYNC, Juggernaut Publishers, Ladies Who Lead, Easy Res, and Kettle and UK. And I think the name that you would have probably been more familiar with is Chaurangi, which is the latest, I would say, Bengali cuisine restaurant which has opened up in London. And Aditya's has been partnering Anjan Chatterjee, also from Calcutta, of specialty restaurants to kind of get into that venture, and we'll probably hear about that more later. Interestingly, when you look at this profile, you would probably be thinking of a man with true blue management education and so on and so forth, but that's not the case with Aditya, and that's what makes his case very interesting. And I use the word case, saying pun unintended, because Aditya is originally a lawyer. He is a lawyer by training, and as we all also know, I am also very proud that he is a fellow alumni of the Harvard Business School, where he has successfully completed HBS's coveted and flagship Advanced Management Program, AMP as it's more popularly known as. So that's Aditya Ghosh, and that's the biography you'll find, but we'll probably get to know more. This is the official biography you'll find, but in his talk and in his with his interaction today, we'll probably get to know more about the man behind that name. Whatever little I could, dig out, being a media guy, I've been doing my research, is two things I know, which, is very, very unique about him. And one is, he is very fond of a brand of sneakers called Onitsuka. It's a Japanese brand of sneakers and a real style statement of its own. So if you are into that, then he is the man to talk to. And if you ask him for a OTT series recommendation, I think the top one will be Suits, where one of his favorite characters is Harvey Specter. And I don't think I'll be wrong if I say that, in a way, Aditya is the Harvey Specter of airlines industry. And with that little introduction, I'll call on Aditya to come on stage and share his story, and then we'll open it up for interaction.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, good morning, everyone. I don't know about you, but it's beautiful weather outside, so I wish I was outside with all of us. But we'll try to make the most of the next 1 hour. What I've called this session today is a winding flight path. Because like Dhruva was saying, there is nothing that has happened in my career which, somebody could have scripted in the beginning, and there is no linear path to all of it. But I've just definitely enjoyed what I've been doing, and I continue to enjoy what I'm doing right now. So hopefully, if anything, if you're confused, the good news is so am I. The only right that I have today versus when I was a kid, much like in your shoes, in those days it used to be that people used to say I'm distracted. Now we say we're diversified. So if you're diversified in your thought, that's perfectly all right. The other good news is that for all of us, just by accident of fate, nothing to do with anything that any one of us did, we seem to be in the right time in the right country, and the opportunity is really staring at us. There are very few countries in the world where you can look at the next 25 years of your life and almost be certain that just because you were born in this country at this time, you're going to participate in one of the greatest stories in an economy that is ascending at the pace that we are. Whether it will be a $5 trillion economy or a $3 trillion economy or a $7 trillion economy is up to us. But one thing we know is that it's not going to be descending, it's an ascending path, flight path ahead of us. And that's the kind of opportunity that came to you without you doing anything. But that also is a deep reminder that that opportunity will knock only once, and literally just once in your lifetime. And not all of us will be able to take advantage of that, but those who do and lock their eyes towards their goal, your tide will rise along with it. Like Dhruva was saying, mine is not a usual flight path. Yes, I have spent the last couple of decades working and leading and creating new businesses, but I never went to business school. When I first became the president and the leader of Indigo, the airline that most of you are familiar with, we had already had 2 years of losses. We had never made money. This was 2008, so the 2008-9 global financial crisis was unfolding around. We had $9 million of cash left in our books, and fuel was at an all-time high at $146 a barrel. Not just that, I had never run a company before. I'd never been to business school before. I'd never had a business role in my life before, and I was only 33 years old. Not that that is what is the end goal that you should be aiming towards, but it just sets the context. And over the next half an hour when we will talk, keep thinking of adversities in your life. Keep thinking of circumstances that are not quite the usual, and stop feeling sorry for yourself. Start thinking of how many adversities other people around you, even within this hall, have gone through and overcome. And what can you do, and what are your strengths that you can play so that one day you could be standing at this stage and speaking to colleagues like yourselves. The first part of it is to accept that change is inevitable, to accept that it is going to be hard, and to accept that it's actually going to happen to each one of you. If you made a plan, trust me, it will change. If you set a goal for yourself, trust me, it will change. If you have a dream in your eyes today, trust me, it will change. And if you're counting on the help of others, trust me, that will change too. But if you go in with that mindset, saying this is going to happen to me, you're going to be better prepared for each time that that flight path takes a diversion from what your original goal was. I always ask every individual, every business leader, every manager to ask themselves, what is our one big objective? Why did you come to work? When we are starting businesses, that's the first question we ask ourselves too. When we were starting Akasa in the middle of the pandemic, when people could not step out of their doorstep to their lift lobby, and we were thinking of starting this brand new airline in India, we asked ourselves the same question. What is our one big objective? Our one big objective was not to create the world's fastest growing airline or the most profitable airline. It had nothing to do with airlines, by the way. Our one big objective was and is and will remain to prove that low cost has nothing to do with low quality. It was the same with Indigo as well. If you now look back at that journey, or if you look around and see the journey of Akasa unfold in front of you, it's actually constantly trying to prove this equation that low cost has nothing to do with low quality. You can create a ferociously low cost structure and yet churn out a very, very high quality product. It's a myth to say that you need large amounts of capital, you need infinite amounts of capital to turn a very successful business. Anybody takes a guess on which is the most premium smartphone in the world? Anybody? Apple, okay. Which is the smartphone in the world which has the lowest cost of production? If you're thinking Xiaomi, Samsung, M3, Micromax, you're all wrong. You're all wrong. The company with the lowest cost of production of the smartphone is also Apple. There are businesses all around us that are creating amazingly cost-conscious structures and creating amazingly, high-quality products. Akasa is the same, by the way. I told you our one big objective was not to create the world's fastest-growing airline. Akasa today is the world's fastest-growing startup airline in global aviation history. Right here, in front of your eyes. The next question that we often ask ourselves is, what do customers want? You've figured out you're in the right country. You've figured out that you want to be in this business. And you want to create, and you've even figured out what your one big objective is. And the next question that we often ask ourselves is, what do customers want? That is one of the most stupid questions that you can ever ask yourself. I don't know about you, but I can tell you a little secret of the business of life and life of business. Customers want a lot of things, they just don't want to pay for it. So the real question to ask is, what will my customers pay for? People ask me all the time, in 2005, Aditya, how did you know that on time is what's going to make a difference? In 2020, when the world was shut down, how did you know that an airline business will become the fastest growing in the world? Because I knew, and we knew, and we focused on what the customer is going to pay for. And that's the difference between wants and needs. Now, and once you've figured out what are the needs of the customer, you're going to try out different things. You're going to try out different things even as you build your career. But please remember, that is not important never to fail. Because failure will be a constant companion. What sets leaders apart, what sets people who are successful apart, is that they stand up, dust themselves off, and start running all over again. Each time that you have a failure, chances are that the first thought that runs through your mind is, what will my parents say? And the next is, what will my friends say? And what will my classmates say? It's the most stupid waste of time. Because irrespective of whether your parents said, "Khub bhalo chale, kichu hobe na, next time," or your friends said, "Don't worry about it, yaar, nothing will happen," these are all irrelevant comments. If you focus on yourself and try to think of this as a journey, and try to focus and identify things that you could have done differently, chances are your next flight is going to be a little bit better than your first one. And that's where comes the spirit of standing up, dusting yourself off, and start running all over again. At the same time, like Michael Jordan, you have to remember that every shot you did not take is a shot missed. Michael Jordan was one of the greatest basketball players ever to have walked on planet Earth. And he had one of the poorest strike rates. So someone in an interview asked him about his poor strike rate. And he asked that journalist, "What do you want me to do? Wait till the ball is perfectly positioned, I'm under the hoop, and then I'm just going to dunk it in? Or I'm going to take the ball in my hand and I'm going to keep shooting at the hoop? And even if my strike rate is really bad, chances are that we'll win the game, because every shot that my opponent did not take was a shot missed." And while you're taking these different shots, it's also easy to be distracted. It's also easy to get lost into, what are the 50 different things I'm going to do? Anybody's been to a McDonald's? Yeah? Anybody's been to a McDonald's and asked for a pizza? You should wonder why. I'm sure over the years, there are many consultants who have walked into the McDonald's boardroom and said to the management team there, saying, "We have a problem. These families come into the restaurant and they have kids, and half the kids want burgers and half the kids want pizzas. And those who want burgers, we keep them, and those who want pizza go to someone else. They go to Pizza Hut. All we have to do, we've got a great brand, we've got great locations, we've got well-trained staff. All we have to do is put a pizza oven and we'll get 100% of the market share." But what amazing discipline that the board or the management team of McDonald's has, where they say, "Great idea, that's for Pizza Hut, we'll take a vada pav and turn it into a $92 billion market cap business." Right? That's the focus of discipline and knowing what not to do. Sachin Tendulkar burst into the world of cricket at the age of 15. And very soon he became one of the world's best batsmen. Sachin Tendulkar retires 25 years later, still the world's best batsman. He does not become the world's best captain. He does not become the world's best all-rounder. He does not become the world's best fielder or bowler. He figures out what his fortress is and he guards his entire fortress irrespective of who the opponent is, and makes sure that he is the world's best batsman. In that, during his long career, he also called someone like Dhoni his captain. With 2 billion people watching live, he's okay and ready and comfortable to call somebody a captain who must have been in primary school when Sachin Tendulkar was already born one of the world's best batsmen. Think about how many times in life will you be comfortable to call someone much younger, less qualified, as your captain, as your boss, because you want to be the world's best at whatever you have chosen yourself to be. I was 43 years old when, after a decade, I left Indigo. And 4 months later, I joined as the CEO of OYO, taking it from 26 countries to 84 around the world. And my boss was Ritesh, who was 24 years old at that time. Ritesh wasn't even born when I had already started working as a lawyer. At the same time, I accepted his leadership as the founder, chairman, and CEO, global CEO of OYO, because he had that entrepreneurial spirit and the ability to understand how the hotel's business works. Guard your fortress, but before that, pick the fortress that you think you're going to be the world's best at. A very dear friend of mine, a big supporter of AIMA, Rajiv Bajaj, who is the managing director and chairman of Bajaj Auto, many years ago said to me, Aditya, in business just as in life, it's important to know what not to do. That is going to be one of the biggest questions that you will face as you step out of these halls and step into your careers. As you patiently wait and build the skyscraper of skills that Shiv was talking about. And being able to choose which skyscraper to build and which house to walk away from. Because the grass is always going to look greener on the other side. Many years ago, I had the leadership team of a global company called Honeywell come and spend some time with me. They would come and spend every year, the global team would come and spend some time with me. And in one of these kind of sessions, one of them asked me, where do you see Indigo in a few years? Where do you want to be when you grow up, type of a question. And I immediately looked back and I said, I want us to be like Domino's Margarita Pizza. So they're like, what are you talking about? You're an airline pizza, what's going on? And I said to them, true story, Domino's started in 1961 in the state of Michigan in the United States. And in the first year, they had 4 stores. And in that first year, out of those 4 stores, they sold 1,000 pizzas that year in 1961. Today, Domino's sells about 500 million pizzas a year. From 1,000 pizzas to 500 million pizzas. But the chances are that the taste of the margarita pizza and the 30-minute delivery still stays the same. Your customers do not care how many planes you have, how many pizzas you sell. They only care about the experience that they have. Don't ever let ego come in the way of wisdom. Be the best in what you choose to be. And don't try to chase yourself from being mediocre at everything else. You have to be boringly consistent. And it is a very difficult thing to do. The human brain is such, we are wired as such, that we always get attracted to the next new thing that walked in through the room. You have to begin to enjoy that ability to consistently deliver on what you're promising. You have to be actually passionate about doing the same thing over and over again till the time you just can't get it wrong. Practice not till you get it right. Practice till you just can't get it wrong. And when you do that, you have to remember that you have to also understand why you're doing what you're doing. Okay? How many of you go to a beauty salon or a barber shop? I know you're all naturally good looking, but on an off day, it's okay. You don't be shy. You can put your hand up. All right? How many of you go back to the same beauty salon or a barber shop? And possibly to the same person over and over again too. You can, if you tried, you can find a beauty salon closer to your house or closer to your school or college. You can find a place which is more luxurious. You can find a place that gives you a free magazine and a Coke. But you go back to the same person over and over again because after the haircut you want to come out looking like you and not like me. Trust and reliability are the biggest loyalty programs. If you want people to stick to you, if you want colleagues to stick to you, if you want customers to stick to you, focus on trust and reliability. Handing 2 shirts for 1 or 3 shirts for 1 or 4 coffees for 2 is not going to buy you loyalty. Just like that free Coke and that magazine did not buy the loyalty away from the beauty salon and the barber shop that you go to. So always try to understand the why behind the what. How many of you have ever flown Indigo or Akasa? Anybody has flown Indigo or Akasa? Oh, excellent, great. Have you ever noticed how they always make the coffee and then give it to you? They don't give it to you. Why do you think so? It's not that they doubt your intelligence in being able to, pour water into a cup and stir it. They don't do it because the chances of splattering from that coffee mug, dropping on that tray table getting shut, and there not being enough time to clean each tray table on a 23-minute turn is too much of a risk, so they'd rather do it and give it to you. There is a reason why everything happens the way it does. And unless you understand the why behind the what, you will be just like turning spanners in this movie called Modern Times of Charlie Chaplin. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. And if you know the why behind the what, you will not just be that mechanical spanner monkey. Like I said, you've got to practice not till you just get it right. You've got to practice till you just can't get it wrong. Try to aim to be the world's best. If you're not the world's best, many people ask us this question. I'm sure Shiv gets asked this question a lot too, and I get it too. When is the right time to move from one career to another? The answer is very simple. When you have a fighting chance that you are already the world's best. If you aren't, then you still got some time to go. Consistency is the bedrock of building great brands. Many of you raised your hand when I asked how many have been to McDonald's. What's your name? Akansha. Okay, and what's yours? Anirban. Okay, so let's say Akansha and Anirban have decided to go get a meal, and Anirban does not want to, Akansha doesn't want to spend too much money. Anirban does not quite know whether he wants to spend too much time with Akansha. So how many of you think that two people can go to a McDonald's and they'll find the place which is well located, it's well lit, it's hygienic, and two people can two people get a burger and an ice cream each at a McDonald's for under 200 rupees? Can two people go to a McDonald's and get 2 burgers and 2 ice creams under 200 rupees? No? Okay, under 400 rupees? Yeah, okay. How much is the price of a McDonald's burger? How much is the price of McDonald's ice cream? Without knowing the exact price of the ice cream or without knowing the exact price of the burger, we somehow felt that it can be done under 400 rupees. Because they're doing it over and over and over again. And that consistency gets under your skin, where they make you begin to feel that it is possible. That is the power of consistency. And if you're looking for inspiration, inspiration is all around us. We just have need the eyes to observe, not just see, and the ears to listen, not just hear. People ask me all the time, who are some of the people who inspired you? Like, when you talk about work ethic, and if we've got to go and start my career, and I want to grow in my career, who are the people I should look up to? Which books should I read? And here is a great example of work ethic. Every office, every institution I've ever been to has this security guard with his shoes polished, with his clothes ironed, and he'll show up at work every day on time and smile and greet you and put his or her life on the line every day. And unlike any one of us who works a little harder when someone is watching, or there's a promotion coming up, or you're going to get a prize for it, This person puts their life on the line without any big increment coming up, without anyone watching, and most of you will not even know their name. If you are looking for an example of work ethic and to model yourself after someone, model yourself after that security guard. Where you will show up to work, shoes polished, clothes ironed, on time, and put your very best and put your life on the line without even the expectation of someone knowing your name. That is true inspiration, not people like Shiv or me. We get a lot of recognition, that's why we work hard. That person is the true example that you must follow. And I bet you have met many guards, but you never thought of this. You did not have the eyes to observe and you did not have the ears to listen. You were still waiting for the books to show up on Bill Gates' reading list because you thought that's what is inspiration. The world is happening all around you. We just need to observe. And who is your competition? Your competition is not anybody sitting next to you. Your competition is who you were yesterday. Or in my case, who I was 20 years ago. That was me in 2004, and that was me last year. You have to compete against yourself. And remember, this is not about making money. And I say this, I'll say this again, in a business school, this is not about making money. If you want to make money, you can rob a bank. It's about earning respect. The world is full of bad examples of people who are out there to just make money. I'll tell you today, as a somewhat successful business leader, there is something wrong in the world today if 26 people in this world own half the world's wealth. And if those 26 people are your goals or your inspirational idols only because they're wealthy, there is something wrong with you. Look around you and find people who make a deep impact. And if one of those 26 people show up in that list, that's great too. But we cannot be here standing today, continue to build a world that becomes more and more inequitable. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who passed away almost exactly a couple of years ago, last year, and I was in Kolkata actually the day he passed away. And in one of those, private moments with me, he asked me, Aditya, do you know who's a wealthy man? And if you've ever heard of Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, he never used to wait for you to answer his question. I knew that he's going to answer his own question. So within about a couple of seconds, he looks back at me and says, a wealthy man is someone who has more than he thinks he needs. Such a powerful statement. You may have 5,000 crores, and if your goal was 15,000, you'll feel poor. You may have 90,000 rupees in your bank, and you think you need only 50,000, and you think you're wealthy. So one way to become wealthy is the old tired way of trying to accumulate more. The other way to become wealthy is to cut down your needs. And bringing profit and purpose together is what is going to help you create great institutions that outlast a period of time. Fab India, a company that I've been on the board of, 60 years old, one of the most profitable retail businesses, works every day with 65,000 artisans, and they refuse to sell factory-made products. There are no mills in Fab India. There are no factories in Fab India. Okay. Turning out a powerful, purpose-driven business is what you should be aiming for. Edwin Gay was the first dean of Harvard Business School. And he said, not me, that the purpose of Harvard Business School is to educate leaders who will make a decent profit decently. So when you go and aspire to be somebody, when you go and aspire to be a leader that people will follow, let it not be about making money. Let it about creating wealth decently so that you make a deep impact on others. I often get asked this question, what is success? To me, success is not how many watches you have or how many homes you own or how many cars you drive or purses you bought or shoes you have in your cupboard or aviator sunglasses that you bought. Success is if 20 years from now, you are in a hall full of people and there are these youngsters who look at you and say, I want to be like her. That ability to create an impact on people's lives is what is success. But in this long 20-year journey, you'll have to make a lot of right choices. You'll make a few bad choices, but hopefully you'll make more right choices than bad. And that ability to create an impact on people's lives is what is true success. That's how people will remember you. So be young and enthusiastic. Don't be young and impatient. I was talking to one of your colleagues who was with me in the car, and I said, remember, even some of the most fancy CEOs that you idolize, they spend entire careers in one company. They are continuing to patiently build that skyscraper of skills that Shiv was talking about. Life is a marathon, not a sprint, which basically means that if anybody one of you has done long distance running, it's a lot of pacing, it's a lot of patience, just putting one foot after another. It's a lot of not giving up. It's that tenacity to keep lasting out. And only once in a while you'll get that corner where you'll be able to pace up. So life is not a marathon. Life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So combine that wisdom of age and the energy of youth. Go out there and seek wisdom. It'll be in your homes, it'll be with your grandparents, it'll be someone who's been around for a long period of time. And combine that with the energy of the youth that you have. But remember, life will always present you with only two risks. Those two risks are nothing to do with the country, the exchange rate, price of the fuel, weather, this, that, and the other. Leaders, individuals, especially those who are successful businesses, they only face two risks. And those two risks are complacency and arrogance. 1983, Fortune 500 companies, compared with 2023 Fortune 500 companies, only 40 companies survive on that list of 500. The balance 460 either got complacent or got arrogant. You don't want to be one of those 460 who falls away from the list within your lifetime. And finally, don't be a prisoner of your past achievements. If you think that your previous mark sheet is going to be the determination for everything that you do in the future, you'll never be able to take the next step forward. Your past achievements, if anything, just help you with a little bit to build on. But whether you failed in your past exam or whether you succeeded, next morning the sun rises up all over again, it's time to start running all over again. So don't be a prisoner of your past achievements. This is a photograph of a very dear friend of mine, also happens to be a Bengali, Shantanu Moitra, one of the most successful music composers that this country has ever seen. And Shantanu, in the middle of the pandemic, decided that he's going to cycle down solo all the way from Gomukh to the Bay of Bengal. He set himself a goal, a music composer, Filmfare Award winner, National Award winner. He sets himself a goal in his mid-50s to become an athlete. And he's the only human being who has ever done it. And by the way, while doing that, he also creates music and releases an album. Don't be a prisoner of your past achievements. Just put your heart and soul into the work that has been given. My first job was 900 rupees a month. Okay? I never ever thought that I would be leading the world's largest airline IPO in history. But what I did do then, and I still do now, is try to pour my heart and soul in everything that you do. Be present in what you're doing. If you're playing football, be present in that. If you're writing an essay, be present in that. If you're stapling papers, be present in that. Let nobody else be able to staple that sheaf of papers better than you. That is the pursuit of excellence. That is the pursuit of excellence. And your role, our role, is much above and beyond your job description. Many of you will soon start working and you will have a job description. If you become a prisoner of that job description, you will be just another human being who's doing their job. Think of leaders who have inspired you over a period of time. Whether it's your parents, whether it be an elder brother, maybe a maths teacher, English teacher, football coach. Their job was to teach you football. Their job was to teach you math or English. The role that they played in your life was far above and beyond. Think of the role that you're going to play in someone else's life. The deep impact you're going to leave behind when you walk out of that room. So find your center, which gives you stability, and then stretch. And you can stretch your role to be whatever you want it to be. Approach it with an honesty of purpose. Remember, there's a difference between best of efforts and best of your ability. Best of effort changes every day. You wake up in the morning tired, you wake up in the morning energetic, you'll run the 100 meters at different distances, at different speeds. The best of your abilities remains constant in your life. The question is, if within this life, you are going to be able to realize the best of your ability. And your biggest auditor, just like the security guard we talked about, is not anybody else. It's the person staring back at you from the mirror. That person in the mirror will always know where you cheated. At the end of the day, when you look at yourself one final time in the mirror before going to bed, that person in the mirror will always know where you cheated. Not cheated anybody else, but cheated yourself from that opportunity of being the very best that you can be at everything you do every day. And each one of us has the power to make a change. When the most important customers of Akasa walk into Akasa, they don't know who Aditya Ghosh is, who Vinay Dubey is, who Rakesh Junjunwala is. The senior most person that they'll ever meet is a lead flight attendant or a pilot saying goodbye. Those thousands of people walking in the trenches believe that Akasa is theirs when no one is watching. Many of you have never thought of it, but remember this, an airplane has no cameras on board. When those doors shut and the plane is flying at 40,000 feet up in the air, they are delivering that service, that consistency when no one is watching. Because their biggest auditor is the person staring back at them from the mirror. And you can do whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter which gender you identify with. It doesn't matter which college you came from. It doesn't matter whether you went to an IIM or not. It doesn't matter which language you speak or not. You can be whatever you want to be. But it's not going to happen automatically. You're going to have to put in that hard work and make those right choices over a period of 20 years. And remember this, each one of us is chasing a dream. When you go to work, you're not going to think about Indigo or Akasa. If you are thinking about Indigo or Akasa going to sleep at night, you better get a life. You're thinking about a deeply personal dream that you have. Every day that you come into work, every day that you come into class, you're coming in because you're chasing a deeply personal dream of yours. Sending your parents on a holiday, buying a car for your parents, making sure they never have to work again, getting married to someone, learning how to play the guitar, acting in a movie, whatever it might be. And as long as you are chasing that deeply personal dream, the passion and motivation comes from within. That's where that honesty of purpose comes, when no one is watching. So step out of your comfort zone. This is a ex-colleague of mine who started us off at the airports, then she became a flight attendant. Today she's a major in the Indian Army. There are many winding flight paths all around us. You just have to have the ability to focus and create successes for yourself. So remember to ask yourself every day, what is your dream? What is that deeply personal dream that you are so passionate about chasing that that motivation will come from within? And like I said, be young and enthusiastic. Don't be young and impatient. Just keep chasing your dreams. Thank you very much.
Great. Hello, yeah, check. Thank you so much, Aditya. I mean, I think, even the word inspiring is an understatement. We were riveted by the story that you narrated and the way you kind of put together your life incidences with lessons. I think it can actually be a book and not just a session.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. We're a little short on time. This session is supposed to finish at 1:20, so I'll just take maybe 5 to 10 minutes and eat into your lunch time a bit. It's okay. You can have a quick lunch, but I will not rob you the opportunity of asking questions to Aditya. You don't get this opportunity every day. So I'll just start off with one, then go to my panelist, and meanwhile take a few questions from you. So Aditya, just pick up from where you finished, and I would like to ask you that you've been through so many experiences, you've done so many things. If today I ask you, figuratively speaking, to say what keeps Aditya Ghosh awake at night, what is it, that one thing which you still want to really pursue with that passion in you, or passionately pursue, as you said?
Well, literally, I've got 2 young dogs, so they keep me awake at night because they sleep with me. But I think what keeps me going is knowing that there is so much potential that is untapped. I started off by saying that the opportunity is staring at us, but that could also become our biggest curse in this country. Because if we get complacent or arrogant that without trying hard enough, something will just fall into my lap, I think we are going to rob ourselves from that true potential and that opportunity. When I was graduating out of college, the ability to get a job, the certainty to be able to get a job, was something that you had to work hard towards. Today, I think getting a job is a given. But for that India will grow is a given. But the true question really is that, like I said, what is our true ability as a country? What is our true ability as a group? What is our true ability as individuals? And within this lifetime, do we think we will be able to make that much of an impact and will be able to kind of, realize that true potential? I think that's what kind of, keeps me going and driving.
Thank you so much. I think I'll start with the panelists and then come back to you later. So I'll start with my left. It's not an ideology, but just that it's more convenient, and it's also a lady sitting here.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Shayantani Dotto from Future Institute of Engineering and Management. My question to you is, do you get time to spend, do you take out time to spend with your family and friends because you are engaged with a lot of businesses? How do you take out time to?
Well, I think, Shanta, that we always end up making time for things that we think are important for us. And if you think that children are important, or if you think friends are important or parents are important, then just like you will schedule a meeting, you will try to create time for yourself. For me, weight training in the morning, or taking the dogs out for a walk, or making sure that I'm there to drop the children to the bus stop is very important to me. And so if that means a few less hours of sleep, that's the trade-off I make. And I like spending time with my friends, but going to a party has it doesn't give me anything. So therefore, that's a trade-off that we have to make. So whatever it be your passion, whether it's reading a book or going for a swim, or watching a movie, or spending time with your parents or grandparents or children, I think whatever is that individual thing that you think is important, we begin to spend time for it. But again, it's not going to happen by accident. It is something that one has to nurture, I think.
Hello, sir. I'm Orko Prabodhe from Esinu. My question is, as we are all youngsters, we all have a role model. Who was your role model as you were a youngster?
Oh, well, I think parents, for sure. Because, just the integrity with which they led their life, the calmness and the softness with which they were able to guide, and their constant pursuit to both my brother and I. My younger brother himself is another World Economic Forum young global leader. He's an Aspen Fellow and so on and so forth. He's a UN ambassador. But both of us were told that you have to be a good human being. I remember many years ago, I think I must have been 10 or 11 years old. I wasn't topping my class, but I never got a scolding as much as I did when one afternoon somebody rang the bell and I opened the door, and they were looking for this person was looking for my mother, and I shut the door and I came back and told my mother that somebody is looking for you. And she came out of her room. She was napping. She came out of the room and she said, "Where is he?" I said, "He's outside the door." And she gave me a scolding of my life, which I still won't forget. How come you shut the door on someone's face? How come you didn't offer that person a glass of water? That defines what my parents were and what they thought was important. And therefore, truly, they have to be, as a child, which is what you asked me, definitely they were the role models.
Very hearty good afternoon to one and all present and respected Mr. Speaker. It's a really honorable, I'm really honored to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
So the question is, you are a key supporter for startups, and sir, what is your take on the startups in our own country, India? And so one advice for the people who are keen for this startup culture in our country.
I travel the world a lot, and one thing which is very evident is, I haven't been to Israel, but when I go to the United States a lot, I go to Europe a lot, or Southeast Asia, I think the entrepreneurial spirit, the number of youngsters who want to do a startup of their own, is far more evident and prevalent in India as opposed to many other parts of the world. So that is deeply encouraging, and that's very satisfying. At the same time, I'd also say, you asked me for one piece of advice, I'll give two pieces of advice. So the first piece of advice is, if you're thinking of being an entrepreneur or a startup person, finding the purpose is more important. Building a unicorn or chasing a valuation cannot be that purpose. That is an outcome. The second piece of advice is, we live in a country like India where if you're looking outside the window of your bus or your car, there are many hard problems to solve. Pick one of those hard problems to solve, and that will be a need of a consumer that you can chase. So if you're looking for the next 50 unicorn ideas, look out of the window and you'll see hard problems to solve. Whether it is roads, nutrition, water, quality of food, education, power, there are so many hard problems to solve. You would hate to be in a country where you're trying to do a startup where everything is already solved for. finding a fundamental need that we can solve will be, I think, one of the biggest things that you can chase.
Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
It's on.
Hello. Hello. Hi, sir. My name is Devraj Banerjee. I am from Sister Nivedita University, Newtown. Sir, first of all, it is a great pleasure to meet you up front.
Thank you.
I am following you since my childhood. Like,
that's very
I like the aviation industry very much since my childhood only.
Oh,
so
thank
I have
you.
seen you in pictures and all that.
I hope I look the same in reality.
Yes. Like, it is a great pleasure for me. So, sir, my question is that as you are a co-founder of Akasa Air, so my question is that how did you co-founded Akasa Air, and what are your plans for the future, and how can an individual start a airline? Like, what are the steps?
Well, the original idea of Akasa came from my business partner, Vinay Dubey. Vinay called me. I remember it was in the middle of the pandemic that we were completely in lockdown. We literally could not move out into our lift lobby, and he's like, Aditya, I've got this crazy idea. I'm thinking we should start an airline. And I was like, yeah, I think it's a great idea. And the reason for that is that, again, like I was telling your colleague, there is a fundamental need for people to travel. India is a very large country with very few airplanes. There's a huge demand-supply gap. So it seems like the right business to be in, of course, at the right cost structure. We, both of us, are also individuals. We don't come from some massive business families or anything of that sort. And so therefore, I think whether it is starting an airline or a hotel or a manufacturing plant, it's always individuals. But it's a question of being able to understand what the needs of the consumer is, who your consumer is, and what is a product that you can create that appeals to them and what they will pay for. If you just follow this formula, most of the times, I think you're on the right track. Yeah.
Sir, and how can an individual...
Just limit to one. Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Thank you, sir.
Hi,
My
thank
name
you.
is-
Most welcome.
My name is Shubhradip Sharkar and I am from Heritage Business School. Sir, you are a trained lawyer and an alumni of Harvard Business School. Did pursuing law help you in management decisions?
Yes, it did. Well, for two reasons. One, right up front, I started working when I was 21 years old. So very early on in my career, having worked with one of the best corporate lawyers in the country, if anything, it helped me expose myself to senior business leaders, how they think, and just how they conduct themselves, how humble they actually are, and so on and so forth. So being able to copy that was huge strength. But this pursuit of, or the study of law also teaches you to be able to go through masses of information and try to get to that one point that's going to help you in tomorrow's hearing. So being able to train the mind to declutter the noise and get to the news, I think that helped me a lot as a lawyer. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Heartful greetings to you, sir. Akanksha Chaudhary this side from Xavier's Business
Yes,
School.
you're going to go to McDonald's, yeah?
Sir, before putting up my question, I would just like to mention that you have a very charismatic personality,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Thank you.
Sir, you being the former president and director of Indigo, sir, are there any takeaways that you have which helped you in formulating the Akasa Air, sir?
Oh, absolutely. I think I think of Indigo as my first child. So I think the efficiency with which it runs even today, the ability to connect to consumers and customers from several different stratas of society, several parts of the country. So we've taken that and we've tried to do things which are better than that. So if it was on time was a wonderful thing in Indigo, today the most on-time airline in the country is Akasa. It has got a bigger seat pitch, it's got a most comfortable seat cushion, it has got in-seat power, it has got a more elaborate food menu, it has got sneakers and tunics as uniforms, so it has become more comfortable for employees to work there. Sustainability, all of the uniform of Akasa is made out of recycled marine plastic waste. The sole of the sneakers is recycled rubber. The packaging that we use is sustainable paper. The ink that we use is sustainable ink. So it's taking something that's truly we have a lot of respect for, which is Indigo, and then trying to pick a few things that we think we can do better for. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I can hear you.
Just bring it closer. It's fine.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Ishita Banerjee from NSCM Knowledge Campus, Kolkata, sir. First of all, thank you so much for this wonderful session that you gave us. I was like feeling as if you were giving a master class on inspiration and motivation.
Well, no pressure. I mean, I am Kolkata, so, might as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. And, sir, also I was going through your biography before this, sir. And I've seen that you've been a part of a lot of industries and you're venturing into a lot of business organizations, sir. So what are your next plans, sir? Which industries are you trying to get into next, or what are your future plans, sir?
Well, looks like aviation is going to take a lot of my time and effort right now. At Akasa, we are looking at our international operations later this year. We are looking at placing another large order of at least 100 airplanes. So that's really on my mind and on our slate. There are a few other aviation-related things that I'm involved in, that I'm working on, which we'll announce soon. So it looks like green mobility and aviation is going to take a lot of my time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Sagar De from Future Institute of Engineering Management. First of all, sir, thank you for being here with us and sharing these beautiful stories with us. Sir, my question is to you, sir, what strategies did you apply in your aviation industry to establish your brand during these COVID times?
Well, the strategy is quite simple, actually. Being able to focus on who your consumer is. When Indigo was starting in 2006 versus now, the big difference is 67% of our population is under the age of 35. So what that consumer segment needs, what they're looking for, is very different from 15, 18 years ago. So I think the strategy is going to be staying very customer-oriented, making sure that we stay relevant in the life of the consumer, and that's how the business is going to evolve.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. I think we're done with the panelists on stage. I am told there's no question from time for questions.
I think there's a lady over there in
Before
black.
getting up, Aditya, I have promised one lady out.
I think there's two ladies. I think
so
there's
maybe
one
there are two
there.
of them. Last two questions.
Okay.
So one
So
from
we'll-
there. Yeah.
we'll go there and then we'll
yes,
come to you. Yeah.
One in the yellow jacket. Yes, ma'am. You can just stand up there and then we go there. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Right. Keep it quick. Keep it brief. Huh? Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Shreya Agarwal and I'm from Heritage Business School. So my question to you is, we don't usually talk about emotional intelligence that is needed before entering the corporate world. So according to you, what are the dark parts of the corporate that we should be mentally prepared about, and how?
Okay. Shreya, let me listen to the other question also, and then I'll probably answer together. Yeah? You want to go for it?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Anisha Chatterjee from Human Resource Department of IISWBM. So my question to you is, sir, since you have mentioned and that we know that you have been into Indigo Airlines and now you're into Akasa Airlines.
And also Chorungi, the Bengali food restaurant. So that's
Yes.
very important.
But two airline industries, right? So my question is, what is the different element that kept you to airline industry, and what are the similarities it has with other domains, other industries, and what is your perception regarding that? Thank you.
Aditya, before you start, can I just add one more
Yeah,
to that? Because I wanted to ask you this question. That you have jumped from a manager to an entrepreneur.
Yes.
What was that leap of faith and how it happened? Maybe you can cover in part of this.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, let me first, Nimisha, right?
Anvesha Chatterjee.
Alvesha, let me start with yours. Well, what made me come back to the airline business is knowing that, like I said, we have very few airplanes in this country, and this sector requires a lot more capacity. In 2005, when we ordered the first 100 airplanes at Indigo, we were a country of 1.1 billion people, and there were 110 commercial airplanes in the country. At that time, Southwest Airlines, one airline in the United States, had more than 750 airplanes. Today in 2023, we are 1.4 billion people, but we have only 500 commercial airplanes in the country, and Southwest Airlines has now 1,000 airplanes. So the demand-supply gap continues to be. So whenever you're looking into a business, if there is a demand-supply gap and there is a need that is not met, then that's what you go after. Now to come to Dhruva's question, thank you, most welcome. I think moving from being a manager to an entrepreneur is easy if you come in with an entrepreneurial mindset as opposed to the designation. An entrepreneur is somebody who's willing to risk everything and is looking to create a solution or think differently for a problem that exists in front of everyone. And I think that ability to bring in and throw and come in, as they say, all in and throw yourself at risk is what I think helped me move. And finally, to Shreya's question, look, this is probably the most important question you asked me, and the answer to that is, irrespective of which stage of life or career you're in, try to be as authentic as possible. I think you heard that from Shiv as well. You know, going into a coffee business and saying, I know nothing, and being able to be that authentic. And hopefully what I've been talking about straight from the heart in the last 1.5 hours is the same. Being authentic and being in touch with those emotions is more important than pretending to be something that you're not. So, well, wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry I'm unable to take any further questions today, but
Thank you very much.
yeah, the applause is much well deserved. You may have got a little less time to eat your food, but you got a lot of food for thought here. I think there's lots to sum up, so I won't do that. I'll just leave with the line that stays with me and which kind of I relate to when it comes in terms of saying authentic leadership and purpose-driven leadership. I think in Harvard they taught us, to say discover your true north and keep, chasing that. I think we leave that thought with you. And today, through his life story, we have heard the various route changes that he has made, and yet had a nice ascent and has a nice descent also into the ground. So I leave with a quote from Vivian Green, the author and also wife of Graham Greene, if you heard of it. And it's a quote I recently came through, but it's really sticking with me. And she said at one point of time that life is not about hunkering down and letting the storm pass. Life is all about learning to dance in the rain. And I think somewhere Aditya's life story today will inspire us to go out and learn how to dance in the rain. Thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, sir. Now may I request Mr. Dhruba Mukherjee to present a memento to Mr. Aditya Ghosh.
Sorry, I can't hear. Hello. Hello. It's an artist impression of Chaurangi as it was many, many years back, I think 1787. Couldn't be a more fitting gift for somebody who started a restaurant called Chaurangi in London. Thank you.
I now request Shohini Gupta, Executive Committee Member, CMA, to present a memento to Mr. Dhruba Mukherjee for chairing the session. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the end of the third session. We now break for lunch. Request all to please be back by 2:15 sharp as we start the session. So, thank you.